Okay, that's great. And in terms of answering these different types of questions, and let's just talk about the exam paper as a whole.
Yeah.
Talk about structure. Like, what are some structural tips you can give for people watching?
I do essays very basically in legal, to be honest, like just introduction, 3 body paragraphs, and then a conclusion.
Yep.
And then within each like paragraph, it's kind of like a appeal paragraph like that. It's pretty much is like you have a topic sentence, then you have your positives, evidence, negatives, evidence, then link back. And I find it with legal, once you find like the structure of an essay, it's pretty much the same for every single essay you're going to write. And that might not be the same for like English or something where there's like a bit of different levels to it. But I think with legal, it's like the structure can be basic enough that you can just keep reinforcing the same thing and it will like always work for you. Yeah, and then legal doesn't have heaps of short answers. It just has like that human rights section.
Yes.
But I think the most important thing for that is, again, just like do not waste any words because you don't have like that much space in those. So I think like especially when there's like those 6, 7 marker longer human rights responses, you really just only need to be saying like each sentence should be a mark towards the answer, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, well, that's
Is that
what
how
I
you
found.
thought about it? Like 7 marks, 7 sentences?
Yeah, pretty much. So like if it was 7 marks, I'd have like, it's kind of like a mini essay, that's what I kind of say, except you don't expand on things really.
Okay.
You kind of just like, you have your thesis statement, then you say like it does this well, and then bring in an example, and then you say it does this bad, then bring in an example, and then link back. Like there's no space to really like expand on things, I
Okay.
guess. So that's kind of how I did it. And that's how I kind of did business as well. Like I would look at the marks and kind of like associate how many different points I should be making with that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, for sure. And even with that mini essay there, like, were you having one introductory sentence and then spacing down, going into 2 smaller paragraphs?
No.
Okay, so it was all one big paragraph.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I just call it a mini essay because that's kind of like it's kind of the same with bringing in a point and then like an
Absolutely.
example, then negative and an example.
And there's a thesis statement at the top.
Yeah,
So basically is that it
exactly.
just doesn't, you save space by not having the
Exactly,
paragraph.
exactly.
Yeah.
And you can like, it doesn't have to be 1 negative, 1 positive. It's usually like 2 positives, 2 negatives or something. But the point is like, you don't have to explain anything. You really just want to be like making your point in those, I find, because the like describe and explain questions will be earlier in the short answer section.
Yeah.
Whereas like when it's that longer one, it's going to be like evaluate. So you really just need to be making positive and negative.
Yeah, no, that makes
Yeah.
sense. That's very pragmatic approach, I would say, right?
Yeah.
So you've talked about the longer ones, three bodies. In those introductions, how long would they typically be, and what were you trying to do in the intro?
Yeah, so my intro and conclusion, I just kept super short. Some people are different. Some people like to kind of put a bit more detail into theirs, but I found that for myself, I really just like, I would have like my thesis statement. I'd briefly like explain what I'm going to be saying, and then I'll just say my judgment, and then that's pretty much it. There's no specific count, but usually like 150 words,
Okay.
like 150 to 200 for an intro or conclusion. But again, it works differently for different people, but I just found that I like to put more focus on my actual paragraphs themselves, and then like do intros and conclusions like as succinct as you can to still like do what you need to do, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, even 150 to 200 sounds quite a lot to me,
Really?
right? Yeah. So
Yeah.
look, 150, 200, but I imagine the conclusion would be a bit shorter, right? It's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
wrapping up.
probably,
Would it be 2 to 3 sentences, or would it be longer than that?
No, yeah. And like the 150 200 isn't like actually like is always that.
Yeah.
It's usually around like an intro would be like 3 to 4 paragraphs, and then sentences.
Yep.
And then a conclusion would be like 2 to 3 sentences.
Got it.